Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Doon Citizens Online. Today, we are going to have a very interesting session on depression and anxiety among students, something that is very, very relevant in today's time, given the situation with COVID. So, let us hope that we have a very interesting discussion and all of you contribute by giving us interesting questions. All of you can grab your cup of hot coffee or tea, and we will start in just a couple of minutes. While our people are joining, I would like all of you to think about what are the issues that are created because of this pandemic. How are we affected? Of course, we are affected physically, but how are we affected mentally? Think about those things. Sometimes we are unable to put a finger on the causes which are setting us. So, what do you think could be those causes? Hello, good evening, citizens of Dehradun. I hope you're keeping safe during these very, very trying times. My name is Ananya. I am an educator from Bangalore. I work at Candor International School, and I welcome all of you to yet another engaging evening at Doon Citizens Online. So, let me tell you a little about our group. Doon Citizens Online Facebook group has been up and running for 4 months now. We have close to 4,200 members from different walks of life, like administration, police, medicine, education, fitness, entrepreneurs, artists, and many more. This group was formed by Doon lovers to make Uttarakhand a better place. We have conducted around 22 online sessions on a variety of topics, and these were fitness, entrepreneurship, waste management, etiquettes, health, women's safety, music, photography, and literature, to name a few. So today's session focuses on depression and anxiety among students during the pandemic. And today we have an expert to guide us. It gives me immense pleasure to invite Dr. Rajiv N. Jerajani. Hello, doctor.
Hi.
I would just like to introduce you to our viewers. Dr.
Please.
Jerajani is a consulting psychiatrist with a niche practice in Mumbai for the last 3 decades. He has worked in the field of chemical dependency ever since. He has been a spokesperson on addiction at innumerable conferences, both medical and non medical. He has even designed and conducted workshops for various corporates. He is a psychiatrist and mentor with over 40 years of experience. He follows an unconventional approach to understand human behavior and treat a gamut of mental health issues. We are so delighted to have you with us today, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ananya. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm thankful to your group for inviting me, having me here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, sir, let's jump right in with the discussion. And the world is facing such a huge disruption and everything seems topsy turvy. And while everyone can see the impact of COVID on the economic, the political, the social, and the physical health front, I
True.
would like to ask you your take on the impact of COVID on a much often, like it's an often ignored subject, which is mental health. What is your take?
Oh, Whether it is physical or mental is a more of an academic understanding. The person who feels physically not okay for whatever reason will get affected in mind. And if the person will get affected in mind, the body will respond to that. The current pandemic, as we say, it is called neovirus. Though in gross category of SARS CoV-2 has appeared, it's a new kind of entity which was found. And not much is known about it, though there is lots and lots of research. There's not much known about it as yet. And therefore, it creates a great deal of uncertainty. What will happen? What will happen to people? What will happen to, as you rightly say, the effect on body, effect on mind, social distancing, hygiene. There are a lot of issues which will come up, of course. And there is another, as you rightly said, economic impact because of the limitations which we face in terms. It's a way of life which we are in the process of changing. And it is more than 70% of the population has to follow those instructions strictly, and it is beginning. The point is that virus is not going to go away, but the virulence of virus will reduce definitely. The number of people getting better has increased considerably because now we know a little bit more about virus. So physically, yes. Mentally, yes. It will definitely affect. There is no question. Socially, financially, every aspect of human life will get affected. Yes. That's how I look at it.
Thank you, doctor. Yeah. So I would like to ask you, how are students vulnerable in times like this? When there is a pandemic, how does it focus on, like, how is it that it is affecting only students?
Again, see, students means we need to be little more specific on terms of student. Uh, to me, every one of us is a student. All right. Whether the child is in kindergarten or in early school or late school or early college, that is a kind of academic distinction which we are looking at. But learning is a process which never ends. However, it will get affected by the environmental issues. What I say is that whenever we are discussing of any issue or epidemiological understanding, we think of three things. One is the agent, one is the host, and the third is the environment. So here the host is human species, the agent is the virus which is new, and the environments around. And all three issues are going to affect. Most of the time, people look at it as a medical problem to begin with. Well, yes, of course it is. But it is one kind of program which will affect everything. This virus is smarter than other viruses also. And as yet, it is smarter than human species also. Because it mutates, it changes its forms a number of times. So therefore, it's not easy. By the time you find some or other medicine, it has changed, it's like a shapeshifter. It has already mutated into a different. The most of the time, it is a generalized belief system in medical kind, where more the mutation, faster the virility of the virus goes down. But here it has not been happening. The symptoms to begin with was like influenza, and people neglected that part of the story. That it is a seasonal variation. And today it so happened that it is not only one, it is one part of China. It is the global issue. It is everywhere, whether you talk about Saudi Arabia or America or Turkey or India or even Japan. The point is that look, we all are affected and we have to put some kind of collective efforts to face the situation. This is how we need to look at it. Now, students, see every part of society, every individual, whether it is adult, whether it is child, whether it is, the earning member of the society or ladies who look after the house, all of them will have some other issues to handle. Now, obviously, when you talk about students, I am presuming that we are talking about school children. Okay? Studies. Now, in this kind of lockdown, it is not easy because initial state of this, lockdown, people were enjoying the holiday which they always wanted to begin with. Then in second lockdown, they started thinking, Abhi, what do I do? Then in third lockdown, they started getting restless. And then in fourth lockdown, they started getting worried. Every one of us. But students were uncertain about their future, which is not only the period of pandemic, it is a long term which we are looking at. That if I don't appear for exams, will I pass or not? Or will I waste my 1 year or not? Should I study or not study? See, it is like every child is worried. And even in children, there are different kind of attitudes towards the studies. There are people who get anxious because I've got exams. There are students who get exams that no, I have to finish my homework. Why? My mommy will scold me and teacher will also write a note, something like that. That
Right.
anxiety is normal. Every one of us go through. Students, since I personally believe that children have more activities than what we do. It is not only the physical component of activities, social activities, meeting people, hanging out at coffee shop, all kinds of things are there. Plus, their boyfriend girlfriend issues are also there, and not meeting your loved one. Oh, they are so depressed. Trust me, it happens. It
Right.
happens. Every one of us go through some or other anxiety, and then it longer time it happens, then it becomes a habit of being anxious. So this is how I'm looking. That look, children, yes, everyone has their own specific way of handling situation. We'll talk about anxiety and depression as we progress. All right.
Sure, sure. Doctor, that was a lovely point that you said about all of us being students in some way or the other. I completely second you, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers also agree with you. Learning, like you said, keeps happening throughout our lives. We're always a student.
True. Very true.
Right. So, doctor, would you think it would be right to say that students are the most vulnerable group? And here I'm particularly referring to school students. I don't know if you'd like to pick out an age group that is particularly vulnerable in times like these.
Yes. Now, take example physical symptoms about getting infected with coronavirus. Initially, it was, uh, depicted in media and communication with everyone, which says, no, no, children are safe, there's not going to be any problems with children and young adults and things like that. But as it evolved, it is not true. Even children are getting affected. All right. And school children, personally, I mean, you are also an educator, you are a teacher, you must be dealing with so many different types of children when you go in educational institutions. That Not every child is same. I feel that every child is unique in himself. And when we look at the attribute, every family has got different attributes. It is not only the qualification or education of the parents. It is the family culture, their way of communication, their life as they have lived is different. See, in a particular community, there may be particular traditions, okay, accepted, but it may not be universal. It may not be in all. Say, example, in Uttarakhand, people living in one part of Uttarakhand and other part of, Dehradun, let's say, they may think differently. Yes, the community may think differently. Today, I must congratulate all of you, that those who are like-minded, who are looking at the betterment. They have started, this is an effort. See, 90% of the time, what happens? Children, when they are not matured in terms of their experience, more than often they confused. What should I do? Should I or should I not? Should I study or should I not study? Simple questions. And where they will turn to, they will turn to the parents. And parents will give the answers to the best of their ability based on how they perceive the situation. And the children and parents, they may not be on the same page. So, more than often, the children will feel, no, 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 my friends are doing like this. Mommy, it's not like that. Or Dada, it's not like that. Children do communicate. They communicate in very simple language with the parents. But there are enough number of families where the communication is not so direct. There is some fear, there is some worries, there are some other issues, the parental issues, joint families, there are a number of issues. If you look at the attributes, where vulnerability because of the age, the experience value is less than the grown-ups. So therefore, that makes them vulnerable. The difference between the professional and immature is that one who thinks and does, and the other who does not think, because he has done it so many times that even if he makes a mistake, he knows how to do course correction. Likewise, in life, everybody has got different experience. And when the children turn to the parents and face uncertainty, because today a young child will ask the question, Papa, Papa, मेरे को school बंद क्यों है? हमको जाना है. I don't get chance to play. I don't get chance to meet my friends. And the father doesn't have an answer. So he will say, नहीं नहीं ये government का rule है. It has to be like this. Now he's being honest. And the child will turn around and say, no, that is not true. I see a lot of people on the street. Why I'm not going? So, two things you must understand. One, children ask a lot of questions. A lot of questions. And parents at times give mixed messages. So that increases the vulnerability of the child, school child. It is very easy for a parent to ask children, homework kiya? Teacher se baat hui? Etc. Now, if you see the government, people have tendency to blame government. No, I don't agree. They are doing the best they can. Like if the school is not on, they have started digital education programs and reasonably well, it has been conducted. However, children don't get that kind of experience, which, they get it in person when they go to school. So, therefore, age See, I always say, my future is shorter than my past. So I'm not bothered. If it happens, I will take all my precautions. After that, if it happens, happens. But that comes out of experience. But children don't understand that. So I don't blame them for what, but they are vulnerable, yes.
Hmm. Thank you so much for that explanation. It was beautifully put, Doctor. I'm really thankful for you to have, addressed that issue of the, communication gap between parents and children. And you so rightly said that, children come up with so many questions
True,
nowadays.
true, yes.
And one of the, we do have e-learning, and we have a lot of social media nowadays. We have a
Correct.
plethora of forums where
Correct.
you can interact, and this is the new thing with education now. So I would like to ask you, what role does social media or e-learning have when it comes to mental health and students? Do they have a role to play in it?
Yeah. See, whenever there is a new system which is being developed and being, you start experiencing, and a lot of people start doing that. Like my grandchild is hardly 4 years old, and she's having a Zoom classes. Hello, they have a portal. The school has got a portal, and they have to log in. They have limited, of course. It is a pre-primary school, so there's limited time frame, but it is so surprising that they are interested. A little girl want to say that he will drive you, or she will dress up and she'll sit in front of waiting for the teacher to come. So that is a good side of the story. That yes, in development things will be different. What we learned in our college days and in the textbooks, the concepts are changing in mental health as well. The point is, today we have to understand that yes, we have to adapt. I'm sure you must have read a very famous author called Elvin Toffler. His book, if you do get chance to read, what is known as Future Shock, the rate with which the environments are changing, it is possible that human species may not be able to adapt to all of them. It's very interesting concept, which he has written probably 50 years ago. And one should read. See, I believe that children, they are studying, they are full-time students. Like parents, the father is a full-time businessman, mother is, if working person, yes, professionally, why not? Today's generation, that is not the question. Both parents have to work. So children have to find that. And as far as your question of social media, well, whenever the knowledge is acquired, or rather, I would not say knowledge, it's the information which comes through. And there is a difference between information and knowledge. See, when we do get a lot of patients also who are, I call them Google doctors. They would log in, they will put their symptomatology, and they will diagnose themselves and they will treat themselves. So, funnily, I mean, jokingly enough, I tell them, did you take a second opinion? So he says, yes, yes, I logged into Yahoo also. Hello. So the point is, whenever you are getting information, as a good teacher, we tell the students authenticity of the author. Whether it is coming from reliable website, then yes, you believe in it. But otherwise, unfortunately, this new word which was coined by the American president who says fake news. Now, this fake news issue has haunted us because it creates so much of confusion that this is true or not true. And that to be or not to be, if you start thinking, it is the indecision which is the root cause of anxiety. And it is not only children, everyone. So, therefore, And there is a whole lot of research being done that, media as, behavioral manipulator in human species. That you are exposed to a particular thought so often that you start really believing in it, and you lose your objectivity to that part. So I would say media, yes, but as far as children are concerned, I would rather give help to the parents in explaining that look, screen time is very important for growing children. If it goes beyond certain time frame, it is harmful. It will cause physical issues. It will cause, see, the kind of radiation that are emitted. A lot of people tell me that you're an old man, you don't know what is happening in newer technology. No, no, it's their screen time. It will affect directly to your sensations. Your eyes will get affected, your sound systems goes. The effect is so much that I would rather suggest that no, that is one part where children can't take decisions. You will have to, parents have to monitor at least. And it can hurt also. However, sometimes media is used by a lot of activists to voice their thought processes. Trust me, let me share you one of the schools experience. The children who started understanding, see, a little on the senior side after ninth standard, all of them have their own WhatsApp groups. And they are quite computer friendly children. So one of them there is a website which says change.org. And the children, four of them joined hands and they started challenging everybody by putting it on getting signatures on that particular website. And they came and they said, there are 100,000 viewers. It's amazing. Now, I can look at the good side of the story that yes, these four people are going to become good entrepreneurs because they know what to do to market themselves. But if the information is not checked, it can hurt or harm a lot of people. So it has got its own good side of the story. Today, I tell you honestly, in my time, there were no TVs also to begin with. And today, every child knows about searching into Google components. Search engines are enough search engines. But that is information, not knowledge. There is a difference between it. So media will affect, it has its own both plus and minus points. Yeah.
Hmm. That is very interesting, Doctor. I really appreciate you talking about so many things and in such a wonderful way. Our viewers are enjoying a lot, and I have a lot of questions from them.
So
And
please.
I'll jump right into one of the most, famous questions, is so to say now, especially now that we're talking about knowledge. Uh, how can parents come to know if their child is suffering from depression or anxiety?
Hmm.
What are the
So
signs?
first, let us generalize that what is depression. Okay. Now, I would say two things. One is depression, another is pseudo depression. Right? Now, depression per se is a mental illness, you must understand. Should be certified by a qualified person. Let's put it that way. Okay? But tell me one person who never got depressed. I don't see it. It's a universal phenomena. All of us, we are born hedonistics. We love to be happy. Technology enhances that thought process. So the point is that we all want to be happy, but we all cannot be happy all the time. This I call is a curse of addictive logic. I am why I am here with you is because the Anatta University, the organization which I work with, is at present in Dehradun. And that's how our systems, we are functioning as, expand the knowledge as much as you can, give information, let it explain to them. So Anatta University, what we are working there, it is this. I started it 15 years ago. And the point is that we do deal with these situations. Whether it is chemical dependency or the patients having depressions and anxieties, we do deal. Of course, there are criteria based on which the help is there. Now, coming back to the question that if we are pleasure loving, we can't be happy all the time. And most of the time, people are saying the opposite of happiness is unhappiness. So when I don't get what I want, I'm unhappy. But that does not mean that unhappy means depressed. Disappointment is a different concept. The point is that how much the extension of the feelings is the criteria. That why do you say this person is depressed? Sorry, apologies. The intensity of being depressed, the duration of depression, and the frequency with which the person is suffering. All these three criteria are necessary. Now, we all have fluctuations and we all have moods, variations. So, it is not that you get depressed and remain depressed. It's not that you are happy and remain happy 24/7. It doesn't happen. So, how do you decide? The word affect is the current emotional status, but mood is a prolonged status which we are looking at. So the parents must understand that is my child depressed or otherwise? This is your question. Wherein what is depression is that you must understand that loss of interest in all or almost all activities. I don't feel like. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling lazy. I don't feel like doing this. I don't want to do this. And children refuse. I don't want to eat. I don't want to sleep. I don't want to do anything. I just want to lie down and do nothing. Now, it's not easy. Unless the pattern of communication between the parents and if the I say most of the times in our culture, it so happens the mother is more sensitive emotionally, so she will detect that there is something wrong with my child. Probably she will try her best because the child, unfortunately, dynamics are such as of today. Also, the child is afraid of father very often. Now that impairs the communication and therefore the emotional reflection has to be observed. The child is not talking about his problems. But if over a period of time, if the communication has been good or it has been, children have liberty to come and talk to parents. I treat my children and grandchildren as little adults. They're all intelligent, emotionally sensitive fellows. And they want what they want. These are three criteria which are absolutely common in current generation. Okay? If the communication has been established well enough, then there is no difficulty. The mother will pick up. आज बच्चे ने खाया नहीं, आज बच्चा सोया नहीं. And then what will happen? The communication pattern is from observation of mother to father, and then three of them confirm. It becomes a process, dynamics in the family. Now, what must understand that there is mind and there is body. So, depression is psychomotor retardation. मतलब activities of mind and body is reduced. Unlike that in anxiety, that before exams the children are anxious. They are hyper in everything. But the parameters of observation, see, you cannot, I cannot say what you are thinking, but I only observe the facial expressions or the body language. But I am saying that non-verbal communication plus verbal communication, then it would be better for anybody. The parents have to observe that whether the child is eating properly, child is sleeping properly, unka activity level kitna hai, is he laughing properly or not in the family, how is he interacting, what is his relationships. Like I'll give you an example. The depressed child would refuse to take bath for a couple of days. Now, normally we all take bath and we all change clothes and things like that. But the cleansing or the hygiene of mind, it cannot happen in one day. It is the process. So therefore, these are the parameters which the parent should be observant. Suddenly there is a change of activity level. He's not doing anything. Or suddenly the boy has picked up the Apple iPad and he's playing games. He's not interested in anything. You call him for food? No. And mother loves the child, so she'll get the food in his house and things, in his room and all that. Family.
Right. So, yes, that is that is a very well explained logic, doctor. That you have to observe and then you
Yes.
communicate, right? And I want all parents who are viewers today to make a note of this. I am not a parent, but I am an educator and I do work with children on a daily basis, and they are of a variety of age groups. So uh, I think this is something that does not really take a lot of effort. It is something like if you're around children, I think this is something that comes very naturally to us.
True.
Right? Yeah, am I right,
Yes,
doctor?
yes. It's a way of life.
So in that,
Yes.
sorry,
It is way of life.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So in that logical sequence, the next step I think would be the corrective measures that parents can take. So what are the measures that you suggest that parents can take once they have the knowledge that their child is suffering from depression or anxiety?
No, at this stage, I will say two things. Do not reinforce if it is a false information. It is like just because I see the children coming from all ages, okay? And uh, say, example, the boy has a girlfriend, he's in 10th standard. He refused to study. So obviously, parents got worried and they are asking questions. He says, may I have a girlfriend? Now, the point is that our social systems are such that we respect parents and we don't talk about it. Today, that is what is important to understand. That if you communicate, it is easier for you. देखो हमारी खुशी जब हम बांटते हैं तो दुगनी होती है और दुख जब बांटते हैं तो आधा होता है. Now, this the parents have to understand. And how do we do this? See, it is a matter of training. Everything. See, all these five parameters, as I said, that, okay, little bit of the topic. It's in Sanskrit. It is called Kshuddha, Nidra, Karma, Sambandha, or Shuddhi. 5 parameters: food habits, sleep pattern, activity level, relationships, and hygiene. That is what we talked about. So, how do you get better, or what the caregiver can do is to teach or learn that there has to be a Sanyam and Niyam. Simple. That whatever you do, your body has got memory. Whatever you are doing, it becomes a habit. Why? Because you are developing that memory which gets reinforced. So if you follow, say example, you have got to your research paper you are supposed to submit. You have a submission. For at least a month, you will be little worried before submission, and you will start preparing. Maybe if you are a daytime person, you will get up early, and you are a nighttime person, you will study late, whichever way it may be. What parents should be doing is being non-judgmental. Don't blame the child. I don't blame the child. But I see that he follows the discipline. Anxiety तो सबको होता है. Increase or decrease of mood variations are there for everyone. Because the whole world is, every person has got. I don't know, I might sound a little different, but there is a principle of Tao, if you have heard about Tao. Just give me a second. Sorry for the interruption. My battery got over. Yeah, my vision is okay, visual.
Absolutely, sir.
So, the mind function of single principle, and that is that the mind wants to be happy. But the life functions on basic principle of balance. If there is a day, there is a night. If there is a summer, there is a winter. If there is a man, there is a woman. It has balance. Now, what parents should do is to bring this balance back into the life of the child as much as they can. Most of the time people say, अरे वो स्कूल में जाके टीचर है तो स्कूल में देखेंगे, स्कूल में सिखाएंगे. नहीं, the learning begins at home. Children, all of them, they are quite smart. They observe everything, and they are so intelligent that if the parents are not on same page, they manipulate each other. The children will learn. वो मम्मी को डैडी के बारे में बोलेंगे, डैडी को मम्मी के बारे में बोलेंगे, और मम्मी डैडी दोनों, they will come into disagreement. It's not uncommon. It is quite common. So what we do is for future generation is to instill some kind of discipline. I am against any kind of punishments. Physical punishments are not acceptable. But then the life learns by the principle of award and punishment. So people forget about incentive. They want to, तुम्हारा एग्जाम में फर्स्ट क्लास आया तो तुमको मैं मोटरसाइकिल दिलाएगा. Hello, that's not the solution. That's a bribe. That's not motivation. So the whole culture, it is going through metamorphosis. It is happening. The parents also have to learn. There are some who are governed by the consumer attitude, where wealth is power. There are some who go into knowledge is power. There are some who have got political power, financial power, all kinds of powers are there. But the question is that, look, whatever you say, the children are learning every minute of their life. As soon as the eyes and ears are open, they start thinking. It's a unique configuration which we have.
Right.
Okay.
Children, I also completely agree with you. They are in a very absorptive state where they keep absorbing from everything that is happening around them. And nowadays,
Correct.
since they're spending a lot of time at home, they get
Yes.
a chance to observe their parents' activities and words very closely,
Yes. Yes, they
right?
do.
Hmm.
So I would suggest another thing which switched off. Uh, See, apart from depression, the second component, pseudo depression. That look, that small part of discomfort is anger which is not expressed, and that would be pseudo depression. Because the person goes to Google, puts his symptoms list. Your children are smart. If you see between 9th standard and 12th standard, they grow up. If they are in junior college, the culture is different, and senior college student culture is different. In my time, the generation gap was 30, 40 years. Today it is 3 years, 4 years. There is a lot of difference. So, as they grow, they learn. Now, being technology savvy much more than the parents, they, get to know that yes, I log in and say, I don't feel hungry. I'm not sleeping. And we have artificial intelligence. We'll go into the algorithm and say, yes, you are depressed. I have had patients who come and say, "Okay, I'm depressed. What do I do? But give me medicines." And I say, sorry, I don't think I would want to do that. I would rather want to understand what is the problem. But these human tendencies that you define and then you redefine the problem and then you redefine the problem and you lose the focus on solution.
Hmm.
So that is where, first thing, as I said, that it is take help. There's nothing to be ashamed.
Hmm.
If a physical problem, you have to a heart problem, then you go into ICU.
Hmm.
You have a mind problem, then you go to a psychiatrist or a
Hmm.
counselor or a psychologist or some mental health care professional. But take help. There is nothing to feel ashamed about.
Right, doctor. So, is that a suggestion that you're giving to parents or to students or both?
Everyone, yes. Even the community. See, like
Hmm.
you have an organization and you are coordinating, what is your job? Is to bring the student and parents together.
Right.
You can have a lecture for parents and lecture for students. Agreed. The point still remains. Everyone has to face this. They have to learn. It may take 10 years, it may take 20 years, I don't know.
Hmm.
But my knowledge, whatever I have, I need to share. I need to speak to people. And that helps
Right.
a lot. That
Right.
helps a lot, yes.
So, doctor, you mentioned children looking up symptoms, and I think even parents might be looking up symptoms just, like you
They
said,
do,
Google doctors.
they do, they
Do
do.
you think, like, can they and should students actually self-diagnose themselves, like self-diagnose for symptoms of depression or anxiety?
Oh, most of the time, let me tell you, say children have that hangout joints and places where they go out and maybe meet in the groups and things. What happens one day you decide that you don't want to talk? The other person is going to ask you, "Are what is wrong with you? Are you depressed?" It is not only the diagnosis which is self-diagnosis, it's the peer group. It can't become a fashion to be depressed. Hello? It doesn't make sense. But there is a subculture where people, they like what you said in media. I see, so and so depressed, taken treatment for mental health. See, it has a very positive side that now people are becoming aware of the mental health. Till about 2017, we were governed by the laws which were 1950s. Hello, but it has changed. There are good things which are happening. So
Right.
it's a cultural change which is coming. It is the way of life which is changing. Technology is helping. Some will work, some may not work. It is a growth, evolution. It is a process. And
Hmm.
parents also will do the best. What I'm saying that even parents should not take a decision that my child is, because it will label. Unfortunately, in our society, we still do not have that kind of acceptance to mental health. You know,
I,
it is like I'll tell you in very funny ways. Okay, uh, my visiting card, I can't give it to somebody and say, "Boss, तुमको कुछ problem होएगा तो आ जाओ." The fellow will laugh for me and say, "Do you think I'm mad?" That is the concept, unfortunately. No, today everybody needs help, and there is nothing wrong in that.
I
Sorry.
really, I see a bit of a disconnect here, doctor. Like you very rightly mentioned, I do hear children talking to each other and saying, "तू depressed है क्या? क्या हुआ?
Yeah,
Some girlfriend issue or not got good marks in an exam." And then when somebody, I know there are people who actually visit a psychiatrist who get some help and they
yes,
find out that they are suffering from depression. And then
yeah.
they're labeled as a person who is depressed. So I don't understand this disconnect between labeling somebody and also using the same term as a, let's say, like a jargon, which really doesn't mean depression.
Absolutely. You see, unfortunately, the depression is one of the most misused word. It's one of the most misused word. Because people
Hmm.
don't use it correctly. The
Hmm.
fact is, if the person has got thought disorders, it's a different problem. He's got mood disorder, it is different. It's a perceptual difference, it's different. And each mental health issue is normal. There is something which where the anxiety is processed normally. If the anxiety increases, it will result into some or other. The basics of mental illness is on that part. It changes perception, it changes thoughts, emotions, everything is changing. Therefore, mental illness, if it is, it has diagnostic criteria. But that people don't know. They know the term because of media or because of social media. But they don't understand that this is an illness. You see, it is every pain in the chest is not heart attack.
Hmm.
It is misused. मेरे को
Right.
heart attack. अरे नहीं रे बाबा, check out. Even if it is gas trouble, you might as well take treatment for it. Look at it.
Right.
The person has got thought disorders. So approach to that part is different.
Hmm.
If it is mood disorder, it is different. If it is behavioral problem, especially for children, if it is a behavioral problem, then approach is different.
Yes, I
So
would like any student who is watching this to note this very, very carefully.
no, it is always better to seek help. When help is available, why not use it? And I tell you, it is not that poor people don't get help. It is not true. Government has had most of the places there are hospitals, healthcare is reasonably good. The middle class families will go to private doctors, nursing homes. The rich people go into the corporate hospitals. So
Hmm.
help is available. The only thing is you should be able to find.
Hmm.
If the parents are biased, then because I am going to psychiatrist, my child will be labeled, then they will not do that. And maybe
Right.
it so happens that the child suffers. It
Hmm.
can.
Right. So, sir, I would really like you to share some practices or, let's say lifestyle hacks that, students can follow to keep themselves in a good, healthy mental space.
Well, I'll give you very simple. I'll do a small exercise. Okay. Are you happy?
Yeah, I am very happy.
Did you ever had any kind of problems with your emotional moods? And yes, everybody has. Okay. Now, unless there is a motivation for that person to bring about change, how are you going to make it? I have seen their prescription लिख के दिया डॉक्टर को कुछ एक क्या समझता है डॉक्टर को कुछ मालूम नहीं counselor doesn't know doctor doesn't know that kind of attitude also we see it. The problem is that look unless the person takes a call see doctors diagnosis 30% medicine together the family support and God's grace, if you believe in, is another 30%. But 40% effort has to come from that child, for which he needs guidance. Now, if it doesn't happen, the child will suffer. So, therefore, simple question. You are working, you are a professional person in the education, right? If I give you 10 tasks in a day, okay, let's say six of them, make a note of six things which makes you feel happy. All right. If you do this task, then you get 1 point. If you don't do it, zero. Now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 5 days you do it, Saturday, Sunday, weekends. Don't do it. All right. Now, you link it to the time, each of the task. Correct? That this is what I'll do at 9 o'clock, this is I'll do at 11 o'clock, this is what I'll do at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, this is what I'm going to do at 7. Correct? Now, if you type it, you get marks. If you don't, if you don't do it, you lose those marks. Now, after second step, you calculate what score you had every day for 5 days. 10 things I'm saying is because getting up, sleep, lunch and dinner, I'm telling you, fix it. But because you are a student, you are exam going student or you are teacher, let's say teachers also, food, irregularity in food is not uncommon. काम आया, खाने का time नहीं है. So these 10 tasks, you mark, it will give you visual feedback for the efforts that you are doing for yourself to be happy. You plot a graph and you will see. First day, enthusiasm, 8 marks. Second day, taking things for granted, it drops to, by Wednesday, it drops to 6. And when you starting the graph and you see it going down, again you push yourself, it goes up again. So that fluctuations you will see. Now I'll make it more difficult for you. That in 5 days you cannot repeat any of the task. It's not easy. Make a list of 10 things which makes you happy. I don't know. Now, this is how we, in Anatta Human University, it's a training program. It's a way of life which you share with people. What are the problem? Maybe the chemical dependency, the anxiety, depression. We have people. When it's a matter of retreat, retraining. And trust me, all of us still learn. We are supposed to learn. And all I tell, read, and read, which people forget. Nowadays, nobody reads.
Right. I was just going to tell you how much I am enjoying this conversation. Also, additionally, because you are making so many references to literature, it makes it even more interesting for me.
बेटा पढ़ना तो पड़ेगा ही ना आज नहीं तो कल I am dealing with people coming from all fields so I should be able to communicate with them in every aspect of life no?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Doctor, I have a very selfish question.
So please feel free.
So, being an educator, is there any, I would like you to shed some light on how educators can be of support to students in school?
Okay. Now I see, I followed variety of different schools of thoughts. Okay, which is other than scientific alternate healing lives, and there are different levels of teaching. Okay, there is one who gives information, one who gives knowledge. There is one who will make you do it. All right. If you are a student, I can give you information, you process it. I tell you, applied information becomes a knowledge. For you to mature and grow as a teacher, you have to know epistemology, the knowledge about knowledge. All right. But the masters of Guru is the one who doesn't teach. It is called Abhasha Shiksha. That means it is not verbal communication. It is you stay with your master and learn how to live. Or practice, 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 practice. And that give you the core competence. That is how it is. Teaching is like that. And I personally, if you ask me, I don't believe in teaching. It is most of the time the learning which is more important.
Right. Absolutely.
I can give, but जिसका घड़ा भरा हुआ है उसमें पानी नहीं जाता.
Very,
So
very well said.
for you to learn, you have to unlearn some things. And 500 GB or 1 TB, there is a difference.
Very interesting, doctor. So I I think we have answered most of the questions that had come from our viewers. Just to wrap this up,
Thank
I'd
them,
like
thank them.
I'd like to end this discussion by requesting you to give one message to our viewers, which might include students as well as adults.
I will give very simple for students especially. Work hard. It is the practice that makes man perfect. Do it again and again. Study more and more and more. Study. You are a full-time student. You are not part-time student. There is a difference. All right. And the parents, I would suggest that you are a full-time parents also. You cannot be a part-time. It is your responsibility. Family becomes when I comes together, it becomes we, and then we, it becomes us. So those value systems have to be there. Maybe people tell me I'm old school, but I think the cultural and value system which we had in literature, irrespective of religion, it is amazing. It is amazing, and we are looking at it. Today, technology, old Sanskrit Vedas have been studied by scientists, wherein you correlate science and religion. I mean, I would not say religion, but nature, the spiritual concepts. One has to do it. I understand money is important. You drive Mercedes, I have no problems. But to get Mercedes, you can't depend on your destiny. You have to put hard work there. वो भाई भगवान कृष्ण ने बोला कि फल की इच्छा मत कर, लेकिन we all are human beings.
Right, doctor.
Everybody has to evolve,
Right.
and I can't do anything for anybody. You have to do yourself. That is the first thing. Okay, great. Thank you very much. That was wonderful. Very kind.
Thank you so much. Thank you
And
so much, doctor.
please thank Dr. I don't know, Mr. Minocha and his wife. Both of them have been
Definitely.
right.
Definitely. Thank you so much for reminding us,
Yeah.
that we have to constantly work on ourselves, and also the bigger lesson that all of us can always learn and unlearn
Yeah.
things and be a student throughout our lives.
Right. And
Thank you
I
so much.
must,
I'm sure everybody has benefited from this talk.
Ananya, I will tell you, I am thankful to my own principles. Matlab,
Hmm.
the Anatta University. That they suddenly thought of me going into Dune online. I said, yeah, why not? Let's do that. Thank
It's
you.
completely our pleasure. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Okay.